For decades, Jim Carrey has been synonymous with laughter, a performer whose elastic face and explosive energy turned comedy into something unforgettable. From Ace Ventura, Pet Detective to The Mask, he created characters that felt untamed, joyful, and larger than life. Audiences saw a man who seemed endlessly playful, someone whose sole purpose was to make the world laugh. Yet behind those performances lived a far more complex human story. Away from the cameras, Carrey's life included long stretches of solitude, self-questioning, and quiet reflection. The same imagination that fueled his comedy also pushed him to confront deeper questions about identity, purpose, and meaning. While his career appeared effortless from the outside, his inner journey required resilience and emotional strength. The contrast between public joy and private depth became one of the defining tensions of his life, shaping both the artist and the man behind the laughter. A childhood without certainty. Jim Carrey was born in Newmarket, Ontario, into a family that struggled with financial instability. His childhood was marked by frequent moves and uncertainty, far removed from the glamour he would later embody on screen. During difficult times, humor became his refuge, a way to cope with stress and bring light into challenging moments. Comedy was not just entertainment for Carrey, it was survival. As a teenager, he discovered the courage to perform stand-up, stepping onto a stage at just 15. That early attempt ended in rejection, but instead of quitting, he learned from it. He realized that authenticity mattered more than forced performance. By refining his style and leaning into his natural instincts, Carrey began to understand who he was as a performer. Those early struggles instilled humility, perseverance, and a belief that failure could be a powerful teacher rather than an ending. Chasing a dream in Hollywood. At 19, Jim Carrey moved to Los Angeles with little more than ambition and belief in his talent. Hollywood did not welcome him easily. Auditions were discouraging, work was inconsistent, and rejection became routine. Still, he refused to abandon his dream. He performed wherever he could, from comedy clubs to small television appearances, slowly sharpening his craft. During this period, established comedians recognized his unique abilities and encouraged him to keep going. Even when major opportunities passed him by, including auditions that never advanced, Carrey persisted. These years taught him discipline and patience, qualities that balanced his spontaneous creativity. Each setback strengthened his resolve, reinforcing his understanding that success rarely arrives quickly. His persistence eventually paid off, transforming him from an overlooked comedian into a rising talent. The struggle itself became a foundation, preparing him for the intensity of fame that would soon follow. Fame and the cost of success. The 1990s marked Jim Carrey's meteoric rise, with a string of hit films that defined an era of comedy. His performances were fearless, physical, and wildly original, earning him global recognition almost overnight. Yet as his career soared, personal challenges quietly unfolded. The loss of his parents during this period deeply affected him, forcing him to confront grief while maintaining a public image of constant joy. Carrey later reflected that these experiences reshaped his understanding of success and risk. Fame brought opportunity, but it also intensified pressure and emotional strain. The expectations placed on him were relentless, demanding constant reinvention and performance. While audiences saw only the laughter, Carrey carried personal weight behind the scenes. These experiences added depth to his work, influencing his later performances and reminding him that achievement without inner balance could feel hollow, no matter how loud the applause. Beyond comedy and into depth, Jim Carrey eventually challenged public perception by stepping into more introspective roles, revealing a depth that surprised many. His performance in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind demonstrated vulnerability, restraint, and emotional honesty rarely associated with his earlier work. Critics and audiences alike recognized that he was capable of far more than slapstick comedy. This transition reflected Carrey's own inner exploration, as he sought roles that mirrored real human complexity. He embraced stories that examined memory, loss, love, and identity, allowing him to express quieter truths. This balance between humor and seriousness became a defining feature of his career. Carrey proved that laughter and pain often coexist, and that great comedy can come from deep understanding of the human condition. His willingness to take creative risks expanded his legacy, establishing him as a versatile artist rather than a single-genre performer. Questioning fame and its illusions. As Jim Carrey matured, he grew increasingly critical of the culture surrounding fame. He began questioning the superficial values of Hollywood and the constant demand for image and validation. Despite success, he struggled privately with emotional challenges, seeking professional support and personal reflection. The gap between his public persona and private self became harder to maintain. Carrey spoke openly about the emptiness that can accompany constant approval, recognizing that applause could not replace inner fulfillment. This awareness marked a turning point in his life. Rather than chasing endless success, he began prioritizing meaning and authenticity. His reflections resonated with many who felt similarly overwhelmed by societal expectations. Carrey's honesty challenged the myth that fame guarantees happiness, offering a more grounded perspective. By confronting these illusions, he took the first steps toward redefining what success meant to him personally, stepping away to find peace. In 2022, Jim Carrey made the unexpected decision to step back from Hollywood. Rather than fading away due to controversy or decline, he chose distance intentionally. This pause allowed him to focus on painting, philosophy, and personal growth without public pressure. Friends observed a calmer, more reflective version of the man once known for boundless energy. Carrey used this time to explore creativity without deadlines or expectations, reconnecting with passions that existed beyond film. His absence from the spotlight was not an escape, but a realignment. By stepping away, he reclaimed ownership of his time and attention. This decision challenged conventional ideas of success, suggesting that fulfillment sometimes requires retreat. For Carrey, peace became more valuable than visibility. His journey demonstrated that choosing stillness can be as powerful as chasing ambition, especially after decades of constant performance. Humor as insight, not distraction. Throughout his career, Jim Carrey has shown that humor can be a powerful tool for insight rather than mere distraction. Beneath the exaggerated expressions and physical comedy lies thoughtful observation about identity, society, and human behavior. His characters often exaggerate reality, revealing uncomfortable truths through absurdity. Carrey's comedy invites laughter while encouraging reflection, reminding audiences that humor can carry meaning. This philosophy extends beyond his films into his public reflections, where he often speaks about mindfulness, creativity, and self-awareness. For him, comedy is not about avoidance, but engagement. It allows people to confront difficult ideas with openness and compassion. By blending entertainment with insight, Carrey reshaped expectations of comedic performance. His work continues to resonate because it speaks to shared human experiences, offering joy without denying complexity or depth. Redefining legacy on his own terms. Jim Carrey's legacy is no longer defined solely by box office success or iconic roles. Instead, it reflects a life shaped by courage, introspection, and authenticity. By stepping back from Hollywood, he demonstrated that fulfillment does not depend on constant recognition. His journey encourages audiences to reconsider their own definitions of success, emphasizing alignment with personal values over external validation. Carrey's influence endures through his films, his art, and his willingness to speak honestly about growth and self-discovery. Even away from the spotlight, his presence remains meaningful. He continues to inspire not just through laughter, but through vulnerability and wisdom. Jim Carrey's story is not about disappearance or decline, but evolution. It reminds us that life is not a fixed performance, but an ongoing process of learning, letting go, and choosing what truly matters.